Hey everybody, welcome to the Gym Life Podcast for a special athlete interview here. One that I've been wanting to do for the last 3 years, even before we got the podcast started. Somebody that I've known for a few years now, worked out with, had the pleasure of meeting at the gym and been watching her go through her national competitive career and figure. Tina Eisenbeis, thanks for joining me, Tina.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Yeah, this is pretty fun. You know, you and I have had a lot of conversations over the years, and I actually met you in a Snap Fitness.
Right.
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 years though. Time flies now, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
A couple years back, yep.
Right, and I was training with you, and I remember talking to people about you and that experience because, of course, a lot of people already knew you, but you're vicious in your routines. I mean, you had me moving hard that day. I remember it was a bicep day. It was crazy.
Yes.
To no surprise. I mean, you've been doing that for a long time now.
Right.
Yeah, how did all this sort of get started for you? I mean, you're on the national level. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But more so, where did this gym life start for Tina?
So back in 2000 was my wedding. Was going to happen, and I wanted to look great for my wedding. So I went to Walt Jones at The Rock, and I was like, get me ready in 3 months. I went 3 months before my wedding, and he got me, I looked good. And I told him, I said, I need to look the best that I will ever look in my life. And on my wedding day, and it all started there. He's like, okay, I want you to do a show.
In 3 months, literally.
In 3 months, I really transformed. And it's, we all know it's about the diet.
Sure, yeah.
And the nutrition. And
it just clicked.
I had minimal time, and I worked best under pressure, I guess you could say, and I did it.
Yeah, and you did a show.
Well, a year after that.
Okay, so you didn't let Walt talk you into that. I know
Not
Walt
that
as well.
soon.
Yeah,
No,
I know
let's get
Walt.
through the
He's
wedding
pretty
first,
ambitious
yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, for sure.
But that's how it all started, really, from me trying to get ready for this.
What was your background prior to that? Did you have an athletic background? Did you lift weights prior? I mean,
No,
what did you do?
I never was into sports like in high school, but in high school I was working out a little bit, but not anything hardcore.
Yeah.
But, I was doing whatever, random things in the gym. Really no structure.
Yeah.
Like how I have now. You know how it's really structurized, our routines. And but that's where it all started, and it just spiraled from there.
Yeah, because it is hardcore now. I mean, you come from basically, just sort of floating through the gym like a lot of people do,
Right.
to getting ready for your wedding, which I'm sure you pulled that off shining, colors, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah. What do they
Yes,
call
I did.
that? It looked great, right? I'm picturing your wedding right now. And you're loving it, and you go back after the wedding and say, okay, I think I'm going to stick with this stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And then it was like that point a year later, you're competing for the first time. And what show was that?
Gosh, I can't remember. It was a long time ago. We're talking, 22 years ago.
Yeah, which is crazy. You've been competing.
And I want to say
long.
it was Grand Rapids.
That's a big show.
But I think it was,
Yeah.
Grand Rapids is...
Western Michigan at the time?
Western.
Yeah, okay.
But it was my very first competition.
Wow. How'd you do?
Not that great.
No,
But, I didn't...
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't go back until, to be honest, I did that one show, and then I didn't go back till 2016.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Right.
So a bit of a layoff.
like 15 years later, I started training again.
Wow.
Real
Okay,
seriously.
that's a kind of unusual sort of spin on the
Right.
story. So what did you do during those 15 years?
Well, I worked out, and like I said, I knew a little bit more than what I knew before I went to Walt.
Right.
But I was doing my own thing, but I didn't have a coach or a training partner. And I was teaching a lot of classes, like fitness classes,
Okay,
HIIT
so
classes.
you were pretty inundated in it then. You were
Right. I was doing step aerobics,
okay.
back
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
90s
Yeah, right,
and
yeah.
early 2000s. So
Yeah, so you were knee deep in it anyhow. Your physique was kind of at that point you're developing it. It's looking
Right,
better.
exactly.
So when you step back into the competitive realm, it was a much easier transition, I'm sure, and you had a little bit more vision and direction on where you wanted to go.
of course, but the nutrition is what I didn't have at the time.
Yeah.
Because when you go on your own and you're by yourself for a while and there's no goal like a competition
You're all
to get
over
ready
the
for.
place.
I
Yeah.
did some, but we know
Yeah.
what it takes
Yeah.
to really.
Compete at the next level.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean
for sure.
otherwise it's just like a roller coaster.
Sure,
up and down,
sure.
up and down. But
But it hasn't been a roller coaster for you. I mean, you've been consistent. We kind of joke before the show, always the bridesmaid, not the bride
Right.
yet. But I mean, that's bound to happen. I mean, you've competed nationally. Well, since I've known you, you've competed nationally, and even prior to that. You brought on French Phillips. Let's make that clear right now.
Right.
He's still your coach now, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, he's taken me to the next level. And my first time going to nationals, I got fourth. And fourth place.
Which was when?
Oh, gosh. This is my fourth year. I just got third this year.
Yeah.
2020. So 2018.
So fourth.
No, 2019.
Fourth, third this year.
Yeah, I got fourth in 2019, second in 2020 and 21, and then third this year. But I'll tell you, those women, it was 12 of them, and they were stacked.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was the little one.
Competition doesn't get weaker, does it? I mean,
I'm telling you, it's getting more aggressive as
Yeah.
it goes by every year.
Yeah, that's a fact. It's like that in a lot of lifting sports that I see now. If you're waiting for that opportunity, don't wait too long because this competition's getting serious.
It really
now.
is.
There's so much good information and all this stuff going on out there right now that's promoting all these lifting sports that we had a better shot 10 years ago than we do today, obviously.
Right.
So if you're not bringing it, you might not find yourself even in that first call out. But you seem to be consistent with that.
Right.
I mean, since you brought French on board, and I, of course, use French too, because when I met you years ago, 3 years ago, I guess it was, I said, who's your coach? You know, because I was amazed by your body. I mean, you were just getting ready to compete. You were looking great.
Right.
And you said, oh, French Phillips. And I was thinking maybe I wanted to be a bodybuilder then, which now is sort of a comedy. But in any case, it was a great experience because what I learned was structure, eating, in particular, dieting.
Absolutely.
And the working out we kind of know. But like you said prior to, or just part of our conversation, it really is all about the diet and everything else. It's really not the working out so much. Obviously, there's a certain intensity to all that, but I think it would be safe to say it's everything else.
It really is. Honestly, the gym, it's tough.
Yeah.
But what's tougher is the nutrition.
Oh, boy.
Because I'll tell you, at the end, French had me doing chicken, spinach, and asparagus. That was one meal.
Yeah.
6 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything in between.
There's not a lot of variation.
Right. And that was like that for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So when I was able to have my meals, I was confused on what I wanted to eat. People were asking me, what are you going to eat? I didn't even know. I wasn't able to even think of what I wanted.
Yeah. It was just removed from your brain
I felt like
entirely.
I got out of prison. I didn't know what to do, when I was able to eat again. But it really is nutrition. They say 80% nutrition, but it's really 100% nutrition.
Right.
And if you don't have that down, and you're not serious about it, and it took me a while to get there. I mean, this doesn't click overnight for everybody. Now, some people it may, but for me, it was tough because I'm a sugar fiend. I love that kind of stuff, desserts and.
Yeah, and you're out there socially. I know you are, and we'll talk about a little bit of that here in a little bit. But that's harder too. I mean, you're putting yourself out in the real world, so to speak. You're not just kind of in a cave waiting for the show.
Right.
You're out there and you're trying to navigate life a little bit while you're trying to maintain this strict diet and this strict sort of nature to what you're doing.
Right, and that's where meal prepping comes into play. And when everybody busts out the pizza, I'm getting my chicken and spinach.
Look at her. She's boring. Look at her.
Well, yeah, I went to Elton John and everybody on the party bus. I went on the party bus
Oh
to
my
Elton
God,
John
you did
concert.
not.
It was peak week.
Yeah.
Like 3 days before I left for Pittsburgh.
Torture week. Yeah.
And French was like, "Where are you going?"
Right.
I was like, "Listen, Elton John, I gotta go because he might not be here much longer."
True.
Great concert, but I brought my water. That's all I drank. Everybody got the pizza out, and I got my meals out.
Yeah.
You sometimes have to resist.
Well,
that
certainly
urge.
it's second nature to you now. You've been
Right.
doing it long enough where it's impossible to get you off your mark.
Right.
When you've committed to that show already or committed to that prep, you're on it. You know what you got to do. You hear of a lot of horror stories of people faltering that last second.
Yeah, why
week
would you? You just spent
I
20
know it.
weeks
Yeah.
and then, right. So it's a mindset and, the body follows the mind.
Yeah.
Your mindset has to be there first. And if you are good in the head and you know that what you want. I always tell my students, I'm an instructor at U of M, I'm a lecturer there.
Yeah.
And if you want something bad enough, you will make it happen. If you want it bad enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain constitution that we all have within us. It's whether or not we decide to kind of turn it on or not, right?
Right.
I mean, that's it. I would say that bodybuilding in particular challenges that probably more outside of things that you require in your life because it's really not a necessity. It's something that you choose to do. You don't have to do.
Right.
So it's easier to say, okay, fuck it, I'm done with this. I'll just quit today, or I can't take it anymore.
And some people do.
Yeah, I think
They
more.
can't take it because it's so, you need that willpower has to be there. And
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
to some degree, I can't. Yeah, to some degree, I still eat donuts and stuff.
Oh,
when
I love
when I'm in
donuts.
prep, I eat donuts.
You know
Yeah.
what though? Food, when it comes to closer to a show, a competition, food is an object to me, and
Right.
it could be a pencil, it could be it could be a box.
Right.
It's fuel, and
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, you hear that more and more.
Right.
I think that mindset's come into play, even more so as sort of we've watched the evolution of bodybuilding happen now, and people sort of embrace these different sort of concepts or ideas. Yeah, you have to put that first and foremost, right? It's okay. This is really what it is. It's not this. It's just this. I want to go back to a point you just made. You're a lecturer at U of M. What's that all about?
Well, I teach health and wellness to students,
Okay.
and before the pandemic, we got transitioned abruptly to online.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I haven't even been back to the campus since the pandemic.
What got you involved in that? I mean, was that your background, or?
Well, I have a master's in education.
Okay.
And,
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was going to teach secondary school. And when I got pregnant with my first one, Eden, my husband and I decided, I was just picturing getting up at 4 a.m. and having to take her to daycare, and someone else is taking care of her while I'm, working all day. And my husband was like, I want you to stay home. But I didn't want to just stay home. But I was into the fitness, so I started training people. And this is how I got into training people.
Okay, yeah.
And so I got a job at U of M teaching classes, like those HIIT classes, step classes. And this is back in 2004. And they knew I had my master's. And they asked me, do you want to start teaching these college courses? It was health and wellness.
Yeah.
Fitness-based classes. And then it went on from there, and I started teaching science class as well. And that's how I got into being a lecturer at U of M.
Wow.
But I had my master's, but
Yeah.
I was really doing nothing with it. And I was happy that they asked me because it was like intertwining, my degree with what
you
I
love.
love to do.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. It worked
Funny
well
how
for
that
me.
happens, right? Doors kind of open.
Right.
That's really cool. Yeah, and it kind of all worked out that way. Could you imagine yourself doing anything different? Probably not. I mean,
Not really.
you're kind of loving what you're doing.
I do love it. I love seeing transformations. I had a lady lose 100 pounds in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 year, she lost 100 pounds with me.
and
And it was amazing to see that transformation. And when I see my clients doing better and coming off cholesterol medications and diabetes, they're diabetic and then they're not now.
Yeah.
And they feel better.
And that's really where your genre you lie in, is that more wellness category where you're taking just everyday sort of folk, non-competitive types,
Right.
changing their lives, right? I mean, ultimately that's a more powerful thing, I think. To take nothing away from those of us who are getting trained by coaches and
Right.
programming specialists and those kind of things. But let's face it, 99% of the rest of us or people out there need somebody like you. That's pretty evident. I mean, you've probably seen some pretty huge transformations, but probably some very necessary ones as well, because generally people find these aha moments and they come to you and say, listen, Tina, I need some help.
And it takes that aha moment.
Right.
You have to reach your bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
The worst place before you make changes, whether it's stopping to smoke, drink, eating excessively. Sometimes it takes a scare, like a heart attack, or
Sure.
their family passed away from a heart attack and it runs in their family. But sometimes you have to get to the bottom before you are willing to make those changes.
I don't think anything is more true than that, honestly. I think even for us to some degree as well, life changed somewhere in life, and how that gets to us a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more. Go back to your competitive now in a master's class.
Right.
Listen, we're masters. Whether we like it or
yes.
not. We all got to own it. Right?
I'm about to go to the next tier. Too
Oh
in
no,
a couple
we don't have to talk
years.
about that. I always say once
That's
you're a
okay,
master,
though.
you're a master. You don't even have to say it
Right.
beyond that. But so you took third this year. You took second, fourth. So you're a national first call out every single year, it seems, which is a great honor, of course. But is the pro card something? I know you got a lot going on in your life. You do a lot. Is the pro card, does it mean that much to you? I mean, where do you stand on that thought? Is it something you need to get done before you call this quits?
It's it's in my bucket list.
Is
It
it?
really
Okay.
is. Like I want it bad.
Yeah.
And I don't get like in 2020, I missed it by 1 point. And I wasn't serious about it that year because COVID hit, and I started prepping like right before COVID, February.
Okay.
And I was doing great, and all of a sudden, all these shows are getting canceled, and it was another one was canceled, and it was on and off, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And French kept telling me, he goes, "I'm telling you, there's going to be shows. Don't party or whatever. Don't go on a boat with your friends. Don't eat bad food." And I wasn't listening to him, but finally, I woke up like after the 4th of July, and I was like, I got to do something with myself. I'm getting out of control. So I prepped for 8 weeks. It was the hardest prep of my life.
Now, there's people out there listening to this right now going, okay, come on. She prepped for 8 weeks.
It was the hardest prep I was full throttle.
Yeah.
And French said, this is not going to be easy.
You have to be.
He was
you
like,
got 8
this
weeks.
is going to be ugly.
Yes.
And I knew it. But I needed to get myself back together. And I was so angry at myself. And I saw somebody somewhere. It was my cousin Sophia Nam. She does CrossFit.
Okay.
And I saw her, and she looked great. It was at the lake, and I was like, that's what woke me up. And I actually messaged him that night. I FaceTimed him on the way home. I said, I am doing a show. And he's like, are you crazy? He goes, you know where you're at right now. He goes, and he was counting out the weeks. He goes, you have 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I have 8 weeks.
Wow.
And
Tina,
I got second.
Yeah.
And I missed it by 1 point. Not 3 or 4, by 1. And me and that girl were looking at each other backstage, and we didn't know who it was.
Right.
French didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
But
Just kind of kick yourself a little bit then.
8 weeks though. Yeah, it was a slap in the face, but I wasn't mad. It was my fault.
Yeah.
Some people get angry and they blame it on the coach, or they blame it on it was the judging wasn't good.
Yeah.
But she deserved it. She was better. If I had another week, I think I would have been able.
Wow, 1 more week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 8 weeks is pushing it.
Live and learn.
Yeah,
I won't do that again.
Yeah. I mean, listen. If you need any more motivation than that, right? I mean, it's all there for you. Now you're going back into it, and there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I'm not playing favorites here. I've said it to you for 3 years. It's just a matter of time. It's whether or not you can outlast them or they're going to outlast you.
Right.
Because you're going to get it. But what did you notice this year? Kind of, you mentioned something in the gym to me the other day that you felt like you didn't have the size. You're kind of competing against more size these days.
Right.
Where's the line there, though? Right? Because one of the biggest things we talk about in competitions, particularly women between figure and bodybuilding and wellness and bikini, right? We got these categories now that are supposed to put all women into a category definitively, right? With what they're looking for. But now you're seeing a lot more muscle come into figure.
Right.
Are we walking a line there again?
Well, and here's the thing, and French has told me, it's not about your size. It's with figure, with what I'm doing, it's not the bodybuilding division like Andrea Shaw, Miss Olympia. But it is your waistline and the quad sweep, and you don't necessarily have to be huge.
Right.
Because there was 12 of them, and there was some stiff competition. These girls were bigger than me. Yeah. And they didn't even make the first call out. So it really isn't all the size that matters, but it's, having that waist, the figure.
Right.
That's what
the
I
symmetry
do.
of it all.
The symmetry.
Kind of how it ties together, yeah.
But you do have to have,
well, sure.
mass
it's
as well.
It's still bodybuilding, right?
Right.
Yeah, you still need that. I asked that question because, I've talked to others in competition and on the national level as well. There's always a little bit of undertone of frustration with kind of the way the judging sways back and forth from year to year sometimes from show to show. Sometimes if the panel of judges isn't the same, what you corrected in one show may not fly in the next show. And I'm not asking you to get in trouble here by saying anything maybe off the record, but I guess you've kind of noticed that as well. How do you navigate that? I guess you don't, right? You just go in with the same package and you tighten it up, or know where you have to be now, right?
Well, I do. I sometimes don't even ask for feedback because I already know.
Gotcha.
And French knows, and he tells me,
That's
and
what I'm
I know.
At. Yeah.
The thing is, though, there are some shows, national shows, that there's like Universe, I think, or North Americans that's coming up.
Yeah.
It's almost like the girls are bigger there. They expect them. They want them bigger there. Like each show has their, like Masters is maybe not so big. We don't want you so big. They have like a different flavor maybe, and I may be wrong with that, but I feel like I've done other competitions and it was a different look
Yeah.
different package.
Kind of judging by who's standing on stage.
Oh
with you,
yeah,
that kind
you
of
can
thing.
see
Yeah.
it's but I just bring the best package that I can bring, and I do the best I can. I've improved every year, as long as I'm improving, and I look better than the year before. I'm 48 years old now, so
It's amazing. Amazing.
and
Yeah.
I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that right there is the reward before the pro card. And it's when I say the best shape, it's I feel the best. If you were to ask me what my internal age is, I could say 20.
Right.
When I was 20, I did not feel like I do
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
And
right,
that's the
yeah.
most important thing.
Yeah.
Do I want the pro card? Yes. And it's my goal. I'm chasing it. But it's not the most important thing.
Yeah, because you kind of already won, right?
Really, I
yeah.
have.
Yeah, you're at a place in life, like myself, a little bit older than some of the other ones out there still competing, but yet we've kind of already discovered the victory, right? And that's just feeling great. I mean, I feel fantastic for my age, as you just mentioned you do. And I feel like, shit, I win or lose, I won.
Right.
I
And if you have 20-year-olds oohing and eyeing over you,
Yeah.
that means you're doing good.
Yeah, I would say that's true.
If they're
Now, see,
looking
I
up
don't
to
get that,
you.
Tina. I'm sure you do. I don't get that.
Well,
with,
they do, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they do with you
Yeah.
too. They do it all the time in the gym. I see it to the
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the
I guess
other
that's true.
bodybuilders,
Yeah,
and I know they
yeah.
do. They look at you and say,
It's a good feeling. Yeah, it is a good
I
feeling.
think you're.
Hey.
I look up to you.
Hey, thanks. Yeah.
You're a role model, and everything you've been through, and you're a hero to me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think we all have a good story to tell, right? And that's kind of what I always say to myself. Someday I just want to be a rocking chair on a front porch, enjoying my later years in life, just telling good stories. And some of them may be tragic, some of them may be other, but there's always a lesson that kind of correlates.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at. And honestly, it's kind of where you're at too, because you lost your daughter a few years ago.
Right. And I'll tell you, that was 2018, February 27th.
Yeah.
And I was getting ready for a show. And, London had a heart condition we didn't know about. And she went into cardiac arrest. We went to a water park, and she went down this slide that was pretty aggressive, and it threw her into cardiac arrest. You just never think these things are going to happen to you.
Right.
And then, of course, I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks because I didn't eat anything.
Yeah, how do you overcome that?
And to be honest, I was a zombie. I can't remember everything,
Right,
because
right.
you become so empty and your brain can't think. And then I started just eating whatever. I didn't care. I was still working out, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Her funeral was on a Saturday, and I was in the gym on Tuesday. I don't even know how I did it. If someone I'm sure the people in the gym were wondering, what is she doing here? I had to get out of my house. I was going to go crazy.
Right.
I was laying in bed all day, and the gym was how can I say it? It saved me.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't think I'd be here right now if it wasn't for the gym.
Yeah.
I had to, and I had Vince, Vince Strange,
Sure,
really,
sure.
And everybody really, they were afraid of me, what to say,
Right,
but
how
they
do you-
just,
right.
he was there for me.
Yeah.
In French too. I'm telling you, those two guys right there.
Yeah. Very important. To
They
you.
really kept me going. And then I had an awakening, like around maybe July, and I told French there was a 12-week prep right there, from going from whatever I wanted to.
Oh, right.
And this was Grand Rapids Western, and I got overall
Yeah.
for the first time ever.
A lot of focus in that mission.
Oh, I did. I
Yeah.
was like, well,
Yeah.
this is how it happened. The day, I'll never forget, that morning before we went to the water park, because the day before that, I went with French to go pose with my team. She asked me, when's your show, Mama? And I said, it's sometime in July. So she went to the calendar. We had a calendar on our desk in the kitchen, one of those big ones we can write, on it, a desk calendar. And she went to July, and at the bottom she wrote, go, Mama, go. Mom equals first place. And when my husband went to tear the page out, he looked at the bottom and saw that. He goes, come here. He goes, this is London's writing.
Oh, that's great.
And, she had passed, already like 5 months. And then I looked at him, and the first thing I said to him, I said, I got to do a show for London. And he just looked at me. He goes, yeah, you do. And I never pushed so hard. That was another one. That was another prep. In French, got me there, and I got overall, and I took that belt and I drove the Hummer home. You know the Hummer I have,
Oh,
the
yeah.
London
Yeah.
Strong
Everybody
Hummer.
knows that Hummer, yeah.
And I put it in the dash with a London Strong bracelet, and I looked at it all the way back, that 3-hour drive. I was so like, I did it for her, and I felt like she was with me, and that's how I got back into the bodybuilding again, even more hardcore. She was my biggest fan because she would always be at the shows, like Ironman that's coming up. That was my first show, and she was there, and she would scream, "That's my mom." So she was my biggest fan, and so this is what keeps me going too. I do it for her too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, your whole life is dedicated to that. Obviously, with the London Strong Foundation now, I mean, that really everything ties into London and her memory, but everything you do does now too. I see that, and through our conversations over the years, I always get choked up talking to you. Like, sorry. I know I've cried enough about this,
No,
but
I know it's hard. It's hard. I try to
As a
zone
parent,
out.
yeah, it's
No,
hard.
I try to zone
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
and I've had a lot of parents cry to me, and I try to zone out so I can like get them through it because I mean, I do my crying by myself on my way, like driving in the shower on the Stairmasters when I cry. I don't want my kid, I don't want, Eden to see it or my husband, and I try to be that positive person. But here's the thing. You can take a tragedy, okay? And there's different levels of tragedy, okay? But you could take a tragedy, you can leave it alone and do nothing with it, or you can change the world with it. And me doing this, I'm trying to save lives. I teach CPR now. I'm an instructor for American Heart Association, and I teach basic life support and CPR, and I donate AEDs. I've donated over 20 AEDs.
And that's the foundation's goal, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what you're doing every year with your 5K runs and everything else you're a part of,
Bringing emphasis to CPR and AEDs and how it saves lives. And I got over 20 AEDs out into community. It would be more, but now there's a shortage with the the chips and the supply issues. But I'm ready. When it comes back in, the AEDs, I'll be getting them out. So But that, like I said, you take a tragedy and you do something with it and make the world a better place. Try to do your best.
God bless you, because honestly, Tina, the tragedy that tragedy is one that haunts every parent out there.
And it haunts me too. And I'm living it. That's the thing. I'm living it. But again, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, one day at a time. Well, let's make today a successful day and try to make changes. I got a phone call a few months ago. I was in the gym working out with somebody. And I got a phone call that someone used the AED at a church because of what I, talk about the London Strong Foundation. They said if it wasn't for London Strong Foundation, that guy would be dead.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have known what to do. So there's something right there. I'm making changes. I might not be hearing about it.
Right.
All of them, but sometimes I feel like no one's listening to me, but there are people listening.
Absolutely. And you're leading by that example too, because I mean, just in and out of our gym world, our gym lives, where I see you mostly in this world right now, because we're coming and going all the time and saying hey, and the people that we associate with in our own circles, and we've talked about Vince and all these other people we've known for a very long time. There's never a moment I don't look at you, and I know there's always the tough moment, but your exterior never exudes that. It's always you're moving and shaking all the time. There's always something going on with you. I admire that about you the most, because you just are constantly doing good stuff and moving. You don't generally wallow at all. I don't see that. I see you always sort of, just leading by example, I guess, and really through that tragedy that you experienced.
Well, it helps me get through the day.
Yeah.
I have to, being busy, it's a distraction, but also I'm doing something in London's honor. It's like I'm the vehicle. It's like her. This is her, but I'm just the vehicle that's making it happen, but it's her. Yeah. It's not me.
Well, listen, the amount of people that you've gotten behind you within our community and beyond, it's amazing. I mean, it hits home with so many people, and they're not just here to be here. You can tell they're truly dedicated to what you're doing. Everybody always pencils these events in on their calendar. particularly the 5K run. I know that's a
Right.
really big part of our community out here. So yeah, it goes to show that hard work and that dedication to that memory is certainly in play.
And it's great because it takes a community. You know how they say it takes
Yeah,
a village
yeah.
to make it happen. I can't do this by myself.
Right.
It's the community helping me. So it's not only just me, it's the community.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it alone.
No, that's true. I mean, you're right. All good ideas or however we want to do something, get something done, remember something or other. Yeah, it takes more than just our thoughts to get these things done. And that's true. Well, hey, listen, we're always going to be here to support you. And, you know, I'll do everything I can do. And certainly
you.
maybe this media thing will really get big and I can even be a bigger part of maybe your cause as well. But let's finish up by talking about your next show, right? Where are you going from here? You know, I know you've got all these shows on your calendar. You're looking at them, probably talking to French about them pretty much on a regular basis. When and where kind of thing. What are we looking at?
Well, he wanted me to do North Americans. And I'm like, oh, let me try to get better, you know, make my package better. And last year I did 3 shows. See, nobody know. I don't really post about these things. I don't put it out there.
Quiet about
but
your
I
shows.
did. Yes,
Yeah.
I did 3 because I do this for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people do it for others, but I'm more focused on the foundation stuff, and I don't want to, you know, take away from that. But yeah, I did 3 last year. It wiped me out, and I was almost thinking about because you know when you're done, when you're competing, you get this high or you're at the top and then you crash. And there comes the pressure
there's a
comes
reset
with it.
there. Yeah, for sure.
And then, you know, going backwards from your best.
Yeah.
You know, you have to reverse everything with your reverse dieting and
right.
which doesn't always work
No.
like people want it to.
No, it doesn't.
But I've been real busy with the foundation this year, and I have other things happening that I think I need to be more focused on that and grow. I want to grow.
Right.
And I'm just going to wait till next year. I don't want to do that 2 in a row, 3 in a row again.
Well, there's not really a lot of options, though, right? I mean, at this point, being a national contender, I mean, which is your status, what do you really only have 3 shows to choose from, right? And North Americans, USAs, and Masters Nationals, right?
There's a couple more out there.
Is there a couple?
Right?
Okay.
But
I know they've added a few.
in December, I think.
Okay.
I haven't really looked at the calendar. I just had Masters Nationals on my list.
Gotcha.
And you know, like I said, I want to wait. I want to grow and have a good off season and really push hard. Really push hard.
And really, we're talking about next year, and we're like 4 months away from next year. So
well, it comes so fast.
Yeah, it
you know
does.
that
Yeah.
how a year goes by so fast.
Right. And do you feel like now, and I ask this from a master sitting right next to you, do you feel like that idea of growing and putting on muscle, right? Because you always heard the old adage, well, you get to a certain point, you're just stuck with what you got. You're not going to get any stronger. You're not getting any bigger. I don't believe in that. I don't. I feel like I'm getting stronger and bigger right now.
Right.
Do you kind of feel the same way?
I do. I feel like my body composition changes. You know, I
Yeah.
can get my waist. It was a little tighter this year, and it's just that constant push. You know.
Yeah.
And you can always continue to grow. You know, change things up, and you're
Shift it kind of around a
Right.
little bit. Create the illusion, if you will, even right. Tighten your waist to feel a little bit bigger below.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Well, French says it's an illusion on stage. You don't have to be big. You could be really tiny, small, and be a figure girl, but look huge.
Yeah.
And of course, it's how lean you get, and every prep is different with him. Every prep, it's never been the same.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, there's a method to his madness for sure. French is produced. He's done that. He's got competitors, high level, not just you, but others as well. I follow them closely since I've befriended French years ago as well. And certainly you're in the right camp. There's no doubt about that. And there's some loyalty there as well. And I think that's important. And I think that's worth noting because we don't see a lot of that now in competitive bodybuilding, let alone competitive anything. It's I want this now, I want this now. Grass is always greener scenario. But there's a certain patience to all this. And I think you're a true testament to that. Even in 4 years of competing, you haven't necessarily taken yourself back with attitude. It's just, okay, time to move on and get the next show.
Right. I mean, it'll happen one day.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And I'm okay with it. Like I said, like you said, I'm already ahead.
Yeah.
I would not be where I'm at if I was not competing. It's pushed me to the next level because it's given me a reason to do so. Yeah. Right? You have that goal, and otherwise I don't think I'd be where I'm at. Hey,
listen, and you're your own billboard. I mean, listen, Tina, there's not a gym that I don't see every head turn in it when you walk in.
Oh, wow.
I mean, your body and how good you look.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody,
you too.
Well, hey, thanks. But everybody does. And then I noticed that very first moment I laid eyes on you in San Francisco. I'm like, who the hell is that? So it's a testament to the hard work for sure. I mean, so obviously to everybody else, right? To those 3 girls otherwise that beat you on stage, you're already a pro.
Oh,
So there you
well,
go.
thank you.
Yeah.
And look at you going through what you went through.
Yeah.
I tell you that
Yeah.
that inspires other people. You wait and see. It'll come later.
Yeah.
Someone else who's in your situation, and you know, you're going to be that motivator, that
Yeah, I'm
role
ready for it.
model.
Well, it's easy when I got friends like you to kind of show me how it's done. So, hey, thanks, Tina, for joining me today. Matter of fact, we switched spots if you guys are wondering why I'm on this side now, because apparently that's Tina's good side, which I didn't think she had a bad side. So, in any case, I gave up my seat today to have this beautiful guest in my podcast room. And thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, we'll be seeing you on stage in 2023, and I'll probably see you in the gym next week.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Tina.
Appreciate it.